right. Welcome in, everybody. This is the Strictly Business Fantasy Football Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Busy Mark, and today I am joined by Triple D, Diamond, down the middle, Denver, Dave. I guess that's 4 Ds. We're going to have to change it.
Yeah.
Do you like that nickname?
It's okay. I mean, you can call me whatever you want, man.
Don't say that. Don't say that in this league. People will run with that.
It doesn't bother me. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's a good name.
Right on. Well, your camera's looking good today.
Thanks, man.
You're looking sharp. We may be joined by our other co-host, Big Burly John, at some point. We'll see. He's in the thick of it, like we were talking about offline. But wanted to start the show today. We're going to recap Week 6 in the Strictly Business Fantasy Football League. We're also going to preview Week 7, and Week 7 is a huge week because that marks the halfway point of our regular season. But wanted to talk about just injuries. It seems like some weeks there's more injuries than others, and this week, for whatever reason, man, I'm just going to go down a list and start naming a couple guys that are fantasy relevant. First, with Marvin Harrison Jr., he left with a concussion, and we've seen wide receivers leave games, players leave games with concussions, and generally that means they're going to miss at least the next game, right?
Sure.
Marvin Harrison, I mean, what is going on in Arizona with their offense?
Gosh, they're not playing up to their potential.
Yeah, but even in these negative game scripts, don't you think they'd be able to move the ball? Kyler would get some fantasy points. I mean, he's had 2 good weeks out of 5. 6 now. And he looks like a bust. Marvin Harrison Jr. was supposed to be this stud wide receiver. He's been okay. But again, he's had 2 good games. And those are 2 of the games that Kyler had good fantasy weeks. Another injury, Jerome Ford, he left with a hamstring, the running back for Cleveland. Are you putting too much, weight into this injury with Nick Chubb coming back?
No. I think you still have Deontay Foreman there too, Biz. But I just think there was probably time for a change in Cleveland for running back, job.
And that's what I mean. I think Ford was on his way out. He wasn't being very efficient. And now this hamstring injury, just really opens the door for Nick Chubb to come back and get immediate touches. A couple defensive injuries. Your boy, PS2, Patrick Surtain, he left the game with a concussion. And because you guys play on Thursday, tomorrow night, right?
Tomorrow night.
Yeah, he's not. I think he's already been ruled out, if I'm not mistaken.
I think Olave's been ruled out, but I haven't heard yet on PS2.
Yeah. Well, you'd have to assume, again, with a concussion, you're going to miss the next game potentially. But the fact that they play on a Thursday night, that I'd give very low probability of PS2 playing tomorrow.
The Saints are going to be without their 2 top wideouts too.
Yeah. We'll touch on that right now. Chris Olave also left the game with a concussion. This motherfucker just got him back on my team, and he had 1 catch. Because of this helmet-to-helmet hit, he lost the ball, and they returned it for a touchdown. So he finished the game with -1 on the week, hurt on the first series. And, yeah, he's not going to play tomorrow night. And then Rashid Shaheed, I think that's even the bigger news because they're already without Derek Carr, right?
Right.
And they got Rattler playing. It was his first start. And he didn't look great, but he didn't look terrible either. I don't know how much of that game you watched.
He missed a couple of open touchdowns. Well, at least 1 touchdown in the second period. It was to his tight end, number 85. I don't know who it was, but he was wide open. He was calling for the ball, and Rattler didn't see him. He didn't look up. And there was another instance later in the game where Rattler had like a wide open, another receiver, and he didn't look up.
Yeah, that's to be expected, I think, out of a rookie in his first start. But
of course, it happens to all of them. Not even the greats that become greats.
But even without PS2 tomorrow night, you got to be feeling good about
Well,
your chances against
it
the Saints.
sucks, but at the same time, the Saints being where they are on the injury front kind of opens the window up for the Broncos to take advantage.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. Another huge defensive player that went down for the Lions. I don't know if you saw that play.
Oh, no, it was pretty bad. I only seen the grimace on his face, Biz.
Yeah, you knew as soon as he started ripping his gloves off on the ground. Tough guy like that. It was hard to watch. Aiden Hutchinson went down for the Detroit Lions, which is going to certainly affect their pass rush or ability to pass rush unless they bring somebody in. And I mean, already they were a team that you could pass on. You can't run on them, but you can pass on them. So we'll see how that affects them moving forward. A couple offensive players to get back here. Dontavian Wicks, he went out with a shoulder, so he's going to be questionable this week. Have you heard any updates on him?
He was at practice today. I thought I've seen something that he was at practice today, but I think he was off to the side with the red jersey.
Travis Etienne, he went down with a hamstring, so looks like he's going to be out at least a week, if not more than a week. Quentin Johnston, he hurt his ankle for the Chargers. I mean, the list just goes on and on.
Yeah, there's a lot of injuries.
Yeah, big blow to my New York Giants was losing Andrew Thomas. Andrew Thomas, he had surgery, I think today actually, for Liz Frank injury.
Well, that's a year, right? That's a year.
Yeah, he's done for the year, which affects our ability to pass block, run block. I mean, he's one of the best left tackles in all of football and one of the bright spots on our team. Kind of stinks because he was hurt most of the year last year for us as well. Dallas Goedert also left the game with a hamstring. There's some big names that left games here. And
Brian Robinson Jr.
Brian Robinson Jr. didn't play, right? He didn't even play.
Rashad White.
Yeah, Rashad White didn't play. So there's a lot of moving and shaking. Now, this week, I believe there's only – going into week 7, there's only 2 teams on bye. So it's not like the previous 2 weeks where you had 4 teams that you had to maneuver around. But another topic I wanted to discuss before we get into our recap here is the trades that happened yesterday. Well, starting Monday into yesterday. Starting first with Devontae Adams reuniting with Aaron Rodgers in the New York Jets, going to the New York Jets. Thoughts on his fantasy value, other players on the Jets' fantasy value, now that Devontae is a Jet?
Well, I heard something earlier today. I overheard something that the Devontae Adams situation with Aaron Rodgers, with the Jets, it's going to be pretty seamless. It may just take maybe a half game before Devontae Adams knows what's going on with the offense. Just because, they're parallels. Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams reuniting, it's a match made in fantasy heaven.
And they already have kind of their own signals and play calls to one another when they get to the line of scrimmage and read a defense. So do you think, because Devontae Adams had one good game, and of course then he got hurt with his hamstring, and now miraculously he practiced in full today. What do you think his fantasy value is now? Does he become a wide receiver 1, a top 12 wide receiver?
I truly believe Devontae Adams is going to have an immediate impact on this Jets team. Maybe not at their defense, but I think he's going to be an immediate impact. I think he can be definitely wide receiver one for sure.
Okay. What about Garrett Wilson? I mean, Garrett Wilson was seeing a ton of targets.
Well,
He had
I don't
22
think he's going
targets.
to be 1B. I think Devontae Adams is going to be 1A, and I think Garrett Wilson's going to be the number 2 on the team.
Okay.
He's going to be he'll be a high end too.
What about Alan Lazard? Alan Lazard had, 7 targets Monday night, over 100 yards in the Hail Mary touchdown?
He's still going to be playing. He's still going to be on the field. It's just his touchdowns aren't going to come in bunches anymore. It's going to be more spread out throughout the season.
What about Breece Hall?
Well, that's going to be interesting to see. I mean, if Breece Hall struggles at all, I can definitely see them making a switch to Braylon Allen because they want to keep this offense going and running. They just traded for Devontae Adams.
Yeah, but
he looked wild.
Breece Hall looked really good on Monday night. He looked like he had a burst that I haven't seen in some of the previous games. So I think, if anything, they already had, weapons. Now you bring in a guy like Devontae Adams. I don't care how old he is. The rapport that he already has with Aaron Rodgers is tremendous. And I agree with you. I think it's going to be a seamless transition. I think Garrett Wilson is going to have more value, maybe not a round 1 wide receiver pick value, but you're going to see better targets because who are you going to cover out of those two? He's not going to have the number 1 cornerback draped all over him the entire game. They're going to have to pick one and, try to take that player away. I think Lazard still has some flex appeal as a touchdown-dependent flex option.
Sure, me too.
And again, what I saw out of Breece Hall on Monday night, I think the sky's the limit for this guy. You got to remember, it's only 6 weeks in. There's still 8 more games in our regular season and then 3 rounds of the playoffs. So that's 11 weeks of football. Yeah, we're 6 weeks in, but there's still 11 weeks left if you want to get to the championship.
Yeah.
That's a lot of games to play. And if you can and just realize, like, the ebbs and flows of being a fantasy general manager in our league, especially, like, 1 week you're way up here, and then the next week you're down here in how your team performed or a key injury. I mean, I know when Rashee Rice got hurt, I was devastated. I was like, fuck, here we go. Because I lost Rashee Rice and Malik Neighbors in the same week. Granted, Rashee got hurt in the second series of the game. Neighbors played the whole game. He got hurt at the end of the game. But still, you get studs that get hurt like that immediately. I don't care if you win or you lose. You don't feel as good about your team. And it's a roller coaster ride.
There's not too many Malik Neighbors. There's not too many Rashee Rice players.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And it's crucial when the player gets hurt in the game. Because, again, now I lost Chris Olave, and he got me -1. Chris Olave went for 6 for 108 and a touch and then had the concussion. I'd be like, okay, yeah, it sucks. He's going to miss Thursday, but I wouldn't feel as bad because he got a chance to show out. And that seemed like the type of game where he might have, because of how frantic the scoring was in that Bucs-Saints game. So, injuries are a part of fantasy football. We all have to deal with it. It's just a matter of when a guy gets hurt. And hopefully you have that depth to maybe not make up for everything that you lose with that player, but at least take a chunk out of it.
This year more than any other year, for sure.
Dude, it's been nuts. That's why I wanted to start this episode with the injuries, because it was just another week of guys going down. And then you brought up a couple guys that didn't even suit up. I mean, shit, even James Cook, he was a late inactive on the Monday night game. Okay. Trending towards playing all week, and he didn't suit up. So it's just been, I don't want to say more than previous years, just big names.
Every game. It seems like every game there's like a new name, a new injury to a fantasy relevant player.
Yep. Now, give me 1 sec.
Yep. And I knew you were touching up on the other trades too, Biz.
Yeah.
Maury Cooper heading over to Buffalo. Boy, that seemed like Buffalo really got a steal of a deal, getting their wide receiver one from Cleveland for pretty much almost for nothing.
Yeah,
and with a chance of making a contract, offer to the player, between, just while his time is there. But you got to feel great if you're a Bills fan. You got to feel, if you're the Amari owner, you got to feel pretty damn good that you have him.
Yeah, agreed. That was the piece they were missing on offense.
No doubt.
Bona fide wide receiver one. Now, everybody else kind of moves down a rung in the totem pole, which is perfect for what they're doing, what they need. And they're in first place at 4-2 in the East. It's kind of wild that both these receivers went to the same division. But which deal helped which team more? Devontae going to the Jets or Cooper going to Bills?
It has to be Devontae for sure. Has to be.
I think
2-4 team. I mean, I feel. 500 isn't too great, but I feel like they could be 500 team now for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes a big deal because now they have, they got a little juice on their team now. They got a little something to hope for.
For sure.
With all that talent there, they had to do it.
So real quick, we got a question. Mondo 9969, thanks for joining us. He asked, should I do Aaron Jones and Jaden Reed for Mike Evans, Josh Jacobs, and Hawkinson?
Wow. So, Aaron Jones has been hurt. I don't know. We don't know how hurt Aaron. I don't know how hurt Aaron Jones is.
Well, that kind of leads us to the third trade. Cam Akers coming back to Minnesota from Houston. And you brought up the point before we went live, like, does that mean Aaron Jones is hurt? Like, are they hiding how much he's hurt, or did they just see an opportunity to grab some insurance in case he does get hurt? Aaron Jones always plays dinged up. He doesn't normally miss significant time. He has at certain points in his career, but my thought is, like, in this deal, Jaden Reed's a stud.
Is he a sell high right now, Biz?
I think so. What about you?
I don't think so.
You think he's going to get or continue on the path?
I think it's going to be pretty consistent throughout the whole year what he's doing.
Would you trade Jaden Reed and Aaron Jones, knowing he's dinged up, for Mike Evans and Josh Jacobs? Forget Hawkinson. Hawkinson's a nice throw-in. Depending on where you are in your league, if you have a team that's going to make a playoff push, Hawkinson's a nice add for that playoff push. What do you think?
I mean, if Aaron Jones is healthy, I wouldn't do the deal. If I know that Aaron Jones isn't going to let's say not miss more than 2 games, then I wouldn't do the deal. If he's going to miss more than that, you probably want to do the deal.
Now, Mondo, keep in mind, business ethics, it's also a tight end premium deal, or premium league, and he's 4-2. So Hawkinson would be an important add. So I would do the deal. I love Mike Evans. I think Josh Jacobs, I think he has 1 touchdown. And we talked about it on this podcast, how he's had a couple touchdowns called back on holding calls. So his numbers could be much higher. And that Packers offense, I mean, being the Jaden Reed owner, this, that Packers offense is awesome. They put up points. So does Minnesota, though. Now, that's the biggest question. It's like, how much faith do you have in Aaron Jones' health? I think that's what we're getting to here. My gut would tell me in a tight end premium league, yeah, I think Mike Evans, Josh Jacobs, and the Hawkinson side is the side I would go with. He just said people in my league think that I'm scamming the person that I'm trading with. Yeah, I do too. Because I don't know. I'm an Aaron Jones guy. Don't get me wrong. When he was with the Packers, I had Aaron Jones for a couple seasons. I don't know. I don't put much faith in him making it the whole season. And like we were just talking about, we've only gone through 6 weeks of this season. If you're in a 14-week regular season, there's 8 more weeks. We're not even halfway through. And Aaron Jones is already dinged up. They're trading for other running backs. What does that tell you? That scares the shit out of me.
Scares the hell out of me too.
Mike Evans, Josh Jacobs, I mean, they've proven they'll run through the whole season. Hawkinson obviously is hurt, but he's coming back. And that Minnesota passing attack, shit, man, I would do the deal. That's my opinion. Like you said, you don't know the health of Aaron Jones. So trade high on Jaden Reed, and you go get a Mike Evans and a Josh Jacobs in return. Hawkinson is the cherry on top, man. In a tight end premium league, no brainer in my opinion. I'm hitting accept. All right. Let's get into week 6. We're going to get into the week 6 recap of the Strictly Business Fantasy Football League. We've got a lot to talk about. There's a lot of movement. We're going to get into the standings. We're going to get into some transactions. Matter of fact, we should get into transactions first, shouldn't we?
Yeah, we should.
Because there were some notable trades that took place before. Here, we got to scroll all the way down. View all.
Right after last week's show, there was a trade between you and.
So last week would have been the 16th. The 10th. So we got to go back. Can you see this? The transactions page?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there was some monster deals. So I guess first we'll start here. Turning a new leaf. Nick, he acquires Tyreek Hill, and he deals Drake London and Kraft to Jeff. Make Bears great again. What do you think about this deal?
I mean, that's gosh. I mean, both teams are at that time were 1-4. And I mean,
and Jeff had been sitting on Tyreek. We're waiting on Tua to come back. I mean, now
I mean, like
up in the air.
I had a thought last week. Well, I think I told John that it was a good deal for it was I don't know, it's just an insignificant deal in a way to me, Biz, because both teams are 1-4 and you guys need you need production as fast as you can get it, before your season.
Yeah, well, okay, so then in that case, I think Jeff won the deal, if that's what we're thinking, because Drake London has been consistent, has great rapport with his quarterback. Same with Kraft. We just talked about the Packers offense. And Tyreek Hill, we don't know when Tua's coming back. So I think Jeff got a great deal for a 1-4 team that absolutely needed a win for today. I think Jeff got a great deal. Long term, Nick might be 1-8 by the time Tyreek gets Tua back. That's if Tua comes back. There's still a big question mark there. So I know Nick's a Miami Dolphins fan, and that's why he puts a little more emphasis on Tyreek Hill, but I think it was a good deal for Jeff. Now, this was a big one that a lot of people reached out to me about specifically, and we need to break it down.
Okay.
So Bing Bong and Raw Dogging It. Everybody in the league knows Amon-Ra St. Brown, a.k.a. Sun God, is my favorite player in the league. I'm a Giants fan, but Sun God is my favorite player in the league. Malik Neighbors, he was creeping up there, but now he's missed 2 games, and he'd rather go to a Travis Scott concert than play football. So you're kind of getting knocked down the list a little bit. Anyways, I picked up David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Xavier Legette, and I gave up Christian Kirk, Deontay Johnson, the Seattle backfield, which includes Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, and then also Josh Downs. quickly break this down
Well,
and let me know what you think of that deal.
I just thought, honestly, you're getting a wide receiver one. I mean, a top 12 guy in Sun God, and in Monty, who's like potentially a top 12 back this year. And I think it was a great deal for you, Biz. I
Okay.
mean, I just, and you're getting Leggett, and I mean, you are giving up Walker, KW3, who's an absolute beast. Deontay Johnson, who's absolutely the wide receiver one on a pretty good, efficient offense with the Red Rifle. Josh Downs, the wide receiver one. For Indy, at least I think he's the wide receiver one in Indy. And the Hank, but still the upside on your side is a little bit higher because, just because it's Sun God.
Sure.
Sun God there's not too many receivers like him in the league, and if anytime you could land a receiver like that in a trade, it's always a good move. Usually, it's a good move when you don't have to give up another receiver.
Yeah. Well, at the time, I mean, I gave up Deontay Johnson, Josh Downs, and Christian Kirk, all startable wide receivers. Deontay Johnson's probably a wide receiver 2. Downs and Kirk are wide receiver 3 flex plays. Kenneth Walker, I love his catching ability, and we're starting to see that this year. But I had more than one members of our league reach out to me and say that this was an absolute face rape of a deal where I murdered him.
Absolutely amazing. I mean, that guy, he's going to be fed. He's going to be fed so much this year with the catching and the rushing.
Yeah.
It's just one of these games, he's going to be like 30 or 40 points.
All I'll say is anytime you can get your favorite player. Now, keep in mind, me and Ryan have been working on this deal since like week 2 because Ryan drafted Sun God. And I've been just every week. This week was the first week he initiated the conversation. He came to me and said, "You want Sun God? This is the week." I was like, "Okay, let's do it. Let's get a deal done." And that was a deal that, took a while to get, we went back and forth, but then shortly thereafter, Jeff hit me up and I asked Jeff, I said, "Do you want Mason?" And he goes, "Mason for Olave." I said, "Post it." That's how that deal got done. That was like, boom. Which, I don't know. I think it worked out short-term better for Jeff, especially now that Olave had a concussion. We couldn't forecast that. But nonetheless, Mason, he has a short shelf life. Hopefully CMC does come back at some point this year. And when he does, he's 90% of the CMC we know. Nonetheless, Jeff knew that. That's why he took the shot. He knew he needed to win now. And so he jumped on Jordan Mason. That's just how that deal got done.
Now both players are hurt.
Yeah, and now both players are hurt. Yeah. Jordan Mason, that's another guy we didn't talk about with the AC joint. I mean, he had a good week though. You got Takeover. Burley did a deal with STD buckets. Burley got Hawkinson and Nico Collins. Nico Collins is on the IR. He knew that. He had already gone on the IR. Norm picks up Terry McLaurin, Braylon Allen, and Jonathan Brooks. Long term, I think I get an idea of what John was trying to do with this trade, where he was building for the future.
No doubt.
But McLaurin has looked great in the last 4 weeks, and that Washington offense keeps on cooking. So short term, Norm, just by having a healthy McLaurin, I mean, John got 2 hurt players. So I don't know. Then Norm turned around.
I love Nico. I mean,
yeah.
I think that was a good trade for John to get his wide receiver one. I mean, Nico, when he's healthy, gosh, that dude has looked great.
The only problem is you're 4-1 when you do this deal. And you know you're taking a stud, top 10 wide receiver, maybe top 5. But you know you're not going to have him for 4 weeks. You got to sit on him for 4 weeks. So let's say you go 0-4. Now you're 4-5. You're in the thick of it, and you get the stud back, hopefully, because it is a hamstring injury. Those could re-aggravate. But, I think that's what John was playing and then doing this deal. Same with Hawkinson, right?
Hawkinson, he's supposed to come back week 8, potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that offense is clicking, man. That could be a really good deal for John.
Yeah. Hey, so real quick, Mondo9969 dropped in again, and he says, should I drop Michael Wilson for Jerry Jeudy or Rome Odunze?
Oh, gosh.
I'll tell you what, I like Michael Wilson this week because it doesn't look like Harrison's going to play with the concussion.
That's true.
And with
Cleveland might.
I understand Jerry Jeudy's going to get an uptick in targets because there's no one else there in Cleveland, but you have Deshaun Watson throwing you the ball. That's what I'm concerned about. Love Rome Odunze. I'm not sure if you're asking, should you drop Michael Wilson for Rome Odunze, because Rome's on a bye this week. But long-term play, I'd rather have Rome Odunze over Michael Wilson and Jerry Jeudy, without question. And short-term play for this week, I think I'd rather have Michael Wilson over Jerry Jeudy.
Who are the Cardinals playing, Biz?
I'm not sure. I'll look it up.
Yeah, Cleveland might. Yeah, that quarterback scares me, and I think they're going to get their tight end involved.
Okay,
a little bit.
So
more.
Arizona plays on one of the Monday nights. This is a week where we have 2 Monday night games. Home against the Chargers this week.
Okay.
And Cleveland plays home against the Bengals. That's a tough one. I'd rather have the guy that plays on Monday night. I like to always have those guys that play in the later primetime games in case you're chasing points and you have something to watch. I mean, isn't that what fantasy football is all about? Having fun. You get to enjoy watching your guys. He's saying drop Wilson for Odunze or Jeudy. Yeah, I'd rather have Odunze.
I like that too. I agree. 100%, Biz.
That's no question.
Yeah.
If you're in need of a wide receiver, keep Wilson this week, I'm saying. But otherwise, I kind of like what that Bears offense has been doing. Caleb looks legit. Now they're going into a bye, so you have to feel that they're going to come out swinging. Moving back into our transactions that happened before week 6, STD Buckets was on a mission. He traded McLaurin, who he just got, and Braylon Allen, who he just got, for James Cook and Baker Mayfield. Now, Rich is the owner of Jaden Daniels, so naturally he wanted to get Terry McLaurin to get that connect. So I think that was a good deal. James Cook ended up not playing on Monday night, so Norm didn't get any immediate production out of him. Baker Mayfield's just insurance for Stroud. Moving on, this trade happened right before kickoff on Sunday because RJ has Devin Singletary and Kamara. Those were his only 2 running backs on his roster. It was known that Singletary wasn't going to play, so RJ had to do a quick switcheroo and picked up Tyron Tracy and Romeo Doubs and traded away Darnell Mooney.
Love the trade for RJ.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, especially now that Dontavian Wicks is out. I mean,
Tracy just looks better. He just looks better back there. He looks like the guy.
For sure. So we'll come back to this. I agree. Tracy runs hard, man. I mean, every yard.
It's fun to watch, man.
Every yard. So, yeah.
He could do it all. And he was a wide receiver in college, wasn't he, Biz?
Yeah. So
he
started as a wide receiver,
Yeah.
and then when he went to Purdue, he became a running back. But he has pass catching ability. I mean, he had 5 or 6 catches this week.
He's like a natural receiver converted running back.
Yep.
He's got those wide receiver gifts. You could see it when he's, swinging out for a pass. He's ready to catch and go, man. Like, that's it,
Yeah. Yeah, Mondo, I would definitely pick up Odunze. He's saying, I have Jefferson, Tyreek, and Reed. You're not going to have Reed if you do that deal. You're going to have Mike Evans, which is stud. Because, again, if Tua comes back, Tyreek's value skyrockets. Now you got Jay Jetta, Tyreek, and Mike Evans. Go do that deal and definitely pick up Odunze. That's my advice. All right. Let's get into our Week 6 recap here. Bing Bong was playing in my own way. And this week was nuts because I'm playing the quarterback roulette again because Anthony Richardson didn't play. I did not start Flacco this week, even though I got him on the roster. I was just dead set. Daniel Jones had a good week. We got a good matchup at home against Cincinnati. You can throw on them. Daniel Jones. Well, Daniel Jones disappointed in a big way on primetime again. Only scored 10 points. Meanwhile, Jaden Daniels was carving up Baltimore with 25 points. I had my two running backs, they did all right. Montgomery had 2 touchdowns. Could have had a third, but had 2 touchdowns. Dowdle got most of his yardage and touches in way late in that game. Dallas, what is going on with Dallas? I know they're going into a bye week, so hopefully
injuries. Dude, they have so many injuries on defense. That defense is not what
I'm
it
talking
was.
more offense, Dave. The offense has been shoddy at best.
It's the craziest thing. It is it's bizarre. I mean, maybe it's.
I'll tell you what.
I mean,
yeah, it could be, but you got to keep in mind last year at this time, they're 3-3. That's the thing. The Cowboys' record, they're 3-3. So it's not like the season's over, but they've had some embarrassing losses at home.
They could have signed Derrick Henry.
Yeah, they could have. I mean, they could have picked up Amari Cooper.
Do you think it's probably a different team altogether, or maybe in a different spot if they had they signed Derrick Henry? I think.
Does that make their run game better, having a better running back, or is it their offensive line? Or is it both? Anyways, thank God Saquon didn't do much this week because Joe Mixon came back. He went off. Over 100 yards on the ground and a touch, and a receiving touchdown as well. He had a monster day. The key to success for me was a couple things. And you score 124 points, you should not win. I'm thankful that I did. Don't get me wrong. I move up to 4-2. However, touchdowns. My team scored touchdowns. I got 2 out of Montgomery. Sun God got a touchdown. We talked about Olave, -1. Left the game early in the first quarter. That one was a killer. Ingram, he came back. 10 catches for over 100 yards. Leggett, he had a touchdown. Those were all huge. And then the Chicago defense played big. But a key factor in our game was right here. Jacoby Myers was listed as questionable coming into the Sunday. Rich did not make the change. I did say to him when he texted me about it, I said, hey, Rich, you want me to make that change for you? I'll sub out whoever you have on your bench. Now, who he had on his bench that would have been available to go in would have been Yoshivas. And he scored 4.6, which would not have changed the outcome. Now, later as the conversation evolved, he did say to me that he possibly would have picked up Curtis Samuel. Now, Curtis Samuel scored just over 5 points, which would have won him the week. Wow. So if he had just taken Myers out, picked up Samuel, started Samuel, he would have won.
Wow.
He would have won. However, he said no. He goes, Biz, it was my mistake. Keep it as is. Fuck it. Let's roll. And I was fortunate because he had the Bengals defense here. They only scored 11 points because in like mop-up time, the Giants were able to get over 300 yards. So they had 309 yards allowed, which dropped them in points.
Yeah.
And that was huge.
Like the last minute of the game.
Well, yeah, like the fourth quarter for sure. And it boosted up Daniel Jones's passing, and it boosted up I know Wandale had a couple catches there. So, like, dude, this was nip and tuck down towards the end. But a win's a win. I know Rich is kicking himself for sure. Falling to 2-4. I believe he's now lost 4 straight. So I move up to 4-2. No CMC, no neighbors. Olave leaves the game early. I made the wrong decision in my quarterback because here you see Flacco had 16.66. That would have been another 6 points. I picked up Darnold. Richardson didn't play, and then I made a lineup decision blunder too. I had Lazard in there for Leggett all week. Lazard goes off for over 100 yards with a touchdown, 25 points, and Leggett scored 11. Got a touchdown, but 3 catches for 23 yards, 11 points. So we both made blunders. I'm just fortunate in this week that I come out with the win. All jokes aside, that's all that matters. All right, now I'm clicking around. Here we go. Week 6. Okay. Another one. We were just talking about Jeff and some of the moves that he made. Week 6 here. 165.1 to Raw Dog, and it's 144.81. So certainly the deals that Jeff did helped. Let's see how much they helped. He was 1-4. Now he's 2-4. Raw Dog, and it falls to 3-3. Brock Purdy had a monster day, 3 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts came back off the bye. He had a good game, 25 points. Not a monster game, but a good game. Derrick Henry's a beast, man. 132 yards and 2 touchdowns.
He is a beast. He's amazing.
Kenneth Walker. It's funny because I traded Kenneth Walker and Jordan Mason this week to the 2 teams playing each other. Kenneth Walker had a touchdown, but 8 catches. That definitely helped. 16.9, not a bad week. Jordan Mason was well on his way to a monster game. He had 73 yards in rushing, and he didn't even play almost the entire second half.
He had 1 snap, 1 carry right after halftime, and then he came back out of the game.
Swift continued his recent success, 19.9. Deontay Johnson, he also caught a touchdown, 6 catches, 78 yards, 16.8. Drake London, 16.4. Debo had a monster day. He had that 1 long touchdown reception. Devontae Smith, solid touchdown, really saved his week. Darnell Mooney didn't do much. Trey McBride, he had a good game, 4 yards short. Ferguson just did not put up. And you would have thought in a 47-9 blowout, Jake Ferguson would have had more than 3 catches for 11 yards. Downs, he had a touchdown from Flacco. That would have been nice. Tony Pollard, he's been having a good season.
Pollard's been solid all year.
Yeah. Kraft, he didn't back up his big week last week with 2 touchdowns. Cooper Kupp trending in the right direction to play Sunday. That would be huge for Carl. Okay, and then defenses. Pittsburgh D had a monster week against the putrid Vegas offense.
Cooper Kupp, 22 targets incoming.
Yeah, he might. We'll see. That'll be huge for my ESPN team. So nonetheless, Raw Dog, and it still put up 144 points and lost. It's a tough loss. But Jeff, in a must-win situation, got the win, moves up to 2-4. Congrats, Jeff. Takeover against STD Buckets. Takeover did not show up this week, Dave.
No.
Did not show up. Maybe that's why John didn't want to join the podcast. Maybe that's the real reason. I'm just throwing it out there. Anyways, takeover falls to 4-2. Stroud buckets moves up to 3-3. Let's break this down. Start right at the top. Dak, huge letdown game. 1.22 mess. Stroud had a solid game. 3 touchdowns. Josh Jacobs, 10 points. When you're getting outscored by Madison, that's tough. Roshan and Bigsby didn't do much. Metcalf had 2 touchdowns. He had 11 targets, ended with only 3 catches, but he had 2 touchdowns called back. One because his toe was too big and he stepped on the out of bounds line, and another one for that illegal motion. Zay Flowers had another big day. He had most of those yards in the first half. 9 catches, 132 yards in the game. Jameson Williams, he's just a superstar. 1 big play. Got a big 0 out of Alec Pierce. Rashid Shaheed, he got hurt in this game. Again, 7 targets, only 1 catch for 11 yards. Ouch. Tank Dell.
Return for like 50 yards in the second period. Quarter.
What's that? Rashid? Yeah. That's why he's got 11 points.
Yeah.
Goddard, he left that game early with his hamstring injury, so he got a 0. CD Lamb, 14 targets, only 7 catches, 89 yards, but shooting 50%. Just looking at this, Houston D had a positive matchup against New England. They did not disappoint. 22 points, but when you put up 94 points, you can't expect to win. Norm's team put up 145, almost 146. Congrats to Norm. Now 3-3, moving up. Next, firm grasp of the obvious, 111.40. He falls to sticky Nicky throw pie guy, 3-3. Phil gets a win, much needed win. This game, again, some low scoring games. 121 shouldn't get you a win in our league, but it worked out. Lamar he's on pace to be the league MVP again. Another 25 points, over 300 yards passing. He did have a pick in this game, but 40 yards on the ground. Kirk Cousins was kind of a forced start for RJ because Patty's on a bye. Tyron Tracy, we talked about it, 50 yards on the ground, 57 through the air, 6 catches and a touch, 19.7.
Solid.
Very solid. Very solid. Bijan got in the end zone twice, fell just short of the 100-yard bonus. Javonte Williams, bro, is he a drop? Seriously. 6 carries, 3 catches, 13.
He's a bench. I think he's a bench guy still, but yeah, I mean.
What about Audric Estime? You like him?
He looked pretty good. His first game back, he looked really good. He just looked good.
Yeah. Oh, I got another comment here. I apologize. We're going through our recap. Would you trade? This is from Chris Beard. Chris Bird, excuse me. Thanks for chiming in. Would you trade Chris Godwin and Jordan Mason for Breece Hall?
No.
Why?
Godwin is a top 10 receiver, and Mason is insurance if CMC is if he can't come back right away.
See, I'm on the Breece Hall side of this deal because they just picked up Devontae Adams. Breece Hall looked amazing on Monday night. I think having another receiver on the outside is only going to open up running lanes. They have a new offensive coordinator now where they've promoted a new offensive coordinator. I would 100% be on the Breece Hall side of this. That's just me because I think Jordan Mason's timeline is short. I think he's got 3 more weeks, and one of those weeks is a bye week.
Yeah, that Tampa Bay offense is just amazing right now. It's hard to – you probably want to get a piece of that Buccaneers offense more than the Jets, I think, right now. That's just me. I'd rather have some of the Bucs defense than the Jets offense.
I guess it depends on what your running back room looks like. If you're trading away Jordan Mason, maybe try to get something else in return for that deal with Breece. What's up with Calvin Ridley?
He's droppable.
8 targets. He's had one good game. Yeah. One good game. In that one good game, he had that 60-yard touchdown, and it was an incredible catch. But I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on with the Tennessee passing game. I think it's quarterback related, but
Yeah.
Eight targets, no catches.
I think the better quarterback is on the sideline.
I agree. Mason Rudolph. I agree. So anyhow, RJ falls to 2-4. He said to me in text this week, he and I were going back and forth because I told him, I said, Devin Singletary might be out. Would you like a Rico Dowdle type? I'm not asking the world for him, but Rico Dowdle type. And I offered. Sometimes you are fortunate in the deals you do not do, because I offered him Rico Dowdle and Lazard for Calvin Ridley.
Wow.
And he didn't do it. But he said he hates his team. So we'll see. Now the Chiefs are off by. He's coming back. He's got everybody coming back. We'll see. All right, Dave, take us through your week here. 126.32. You fall to 4-2. Stacks on Stacks is just on a run. 171.47. He moves up to 4-2.
Yeah. I mean, like, just pretty much all three of my starting running backs were hurt. Something funny happened to James Conner during the game, that he was on the sideline more or less in the second half, while the other running backs were getting a little bit more action, Benson and DeMarcado. And James Conner was seen stretching out on the sideline and running sprints, and could be I don't know, could be something there. But yeah, I mean, 4.6 from James Conner, not great. With the plus matchup, I think he could have had a little bit better of a day. Yeah, McNichols was the wrong guy to put in there. It wasn't, Washington wasn't running the ball versus Baltimore Ravens defense. So I didn't see that. And I mean, McNichols was on the field for like 39% of the snaps. It wasn't like he wasn't, playing, but he only had 2 touches. Shit, man. A lot of Chris Godwin. That's all I'll say. Godwin.
Well, I think the story isn't so much. I mean, you got A.J. Brown back. That's huge. He had a good game, over 100 with a touch. But I think the story isn't so much your team. I mean, yeah, okay, you had some guys hurt, right? So they didn't play. And they're here on your bench. Jonathan Taylor and Brian Robinson. They both should be back this week. That's at least the initial early week news, midweek news.
Hope one of those guys are back.
Yeah. But the scary thing about Carl's team is that Chase had 9 points. Higgins had 11 points. So that's 20 points out of your 2 Bengals receivers. And Burrow only had 19.8. If you have a game against Carl and you told me that you only got 40 points out of Burrow, Chase, and Higgins, I'd be feeling pretty good. His team still put up 171. And now he's about to get Cooper Kupp back. Like you said, Chris Godwin, monster day. Chuba Hubbard, he's looked good, 92 yards on the ground. I mean, it's just – and then Kittle, 2 touchdowns. Sutton, touchdown. Justice Hill didn't do shit, but whatever. And he got 23 out of his D and 12 out of his kicker. He got 171 in the Bengals. His super stack only scored 40 points. That's scary. His team's now 4-2. He's getting Cooper Kupp back. He's got to be stoked about that. Oh, and by the way, Jahmyr Gibbs only had 10 points. It's like, bro, his team didn't have a great week, but he still scored 171. That's scary. That's scary. Last game of week 6 recap here is White Boy Rick against Turning a New Leaf, which Turning a New Leaf falls to 1-5. And it feels like that 190 points he put on my fucking team last week and his only win of the season is an anomaly. 115.86. White Boy Rick cruises to a victory, 144.7. Let's cruise through this. Josh Allen had a big night. 3 total touchdowns, 2 through the air, 1 on the ground. Like I said, Breece Hall, 113 yards, 5 catches, 56 yards, 24 points. Chase Brown, he had a touchdown. Garrett Wilson over 100 and a touchdown. You just kind of go through this. ETN, he got hurt early. I have him in ESPN, minus 0.1. Thanks for showing up. You put up 144 points. You should win. It was a good week for Rick. Rick moves up to 4-2, and now Nick falls to 1-5. I would say that moving forward into week 7, this is an absolute must win. Let's recap real quick where we stand. In Red Flags division, Chief Biz, I'm 4-2. It's crazy because last week, everyone in my division, including myself, lost. This week, week 6, everyone won. So I'm 4-2.
We
Phil's
makes a difference.
Yeah, Phil's 3-3. What? That's what I was saying. The ups and downs, the ebbs and flows of each week in our league, especially. Phil's 3-3, Norm's 3-3, and McKeever got a big win, 2-4. Mediocreville, you've got Carl and Ricky are 4-2. Ryan is 3-3, and Rich is now 2-4. And then your division, Skid Marks, both you and John lost, falling to 4-2. RJ and Nick, everyone in your division lost. So 4-2 for you and John. RJ's 2-4, and Nikki is 1-5. Man, moving into week 7, crucial week 7 here. So real quick, we're going to recap the transactions for this week. There's been a couple trades. So most recently, Norm, I think that, so after that Sunday morning deal for RJ, Norm and Phil did a deal here where Norm picked up Stephon Diggs, Mostert, and Roman Dunze, gave up Khalil Shakir, Zay Flowers, and Jonathan Brooks. I think it's a pretty fair deal, except for the fact that Norm has Stroud. So Norm picks up a Connect. He's already got Tank Dell. It's like we're just giving Connects away. I like Zay Flowers, but doesn't sell high in my opinion. He had two really good weeks in a row. I don't know. How do you see it?
I love the fact that Norm got the Connect. I mean, like that's good to always have a Connect on your team.
And that's the one reason why I think Norm got a slight edge. I don't think it's a monster edge.
Miami may be a buy low right now. The offense might be a buy low now while Tua is out. So, we'll see if Tua plays or not in week 8.
Yeah, Norm already has. Oh man, I'm having a brain fart.
Diggs look good versus the Patriots. I mean, I know it's just the Patriots, but Diggs has looked pretty damn good this year.
Norm already has Achane. That's what I was trying to say. So now he's got the Miami backfield. Another deal that got done on the 15th, which was yesterday, Rod Dogginett picks up Tank Bigsby and JSN for Deontay Johnson and Zach Moss. I think Norm got an edge in this deal. I'm high on Deontay Johnson. I know I just traded him, but I traded him for my favorite player.
Deontay is solid. He's the no unquestioned wide receiver 1.
Yeah, and Zach Moss is coming off a very down week. Tank Bigsby, granted, Etienne's hurt, so Tank Bigsby's now the one in Jacksonville for at least this week, if not a couple weeks. JSN, he gets targets. He's just not getting a lot of yards.
There's a lot of mouths to feed on that offense.
Yeah, true.
It's a good offense, but it's just so much talent on that offense.
So waivers, I'm going to pull up on my phone because it's easier to do on the app on my phone than it is to do on the computer. Okay. So we'll just stop sharing for a second. Talk about waivers. All right. So I know the phone's just blowing up. All right, here we go. There's a ton of waivers here. We'll start. Dave, 77 fake bucks for the Detroit Lions. You dropped McNichols. 4 other people bid. The next highest bidder was only 12 bucks. How are you feeling about that?
I got a defense. I might have spent $77, damn it, but I got a defense finally.
65 more than the next person. But you got a defense. John picked up Tucker, running back for Tampa Bay, and he dropped Christian Watson for 39 fake bucks, 23 more than the next. RJ bid 16, I bid 8, and you bid 6.
Are we seeing a change in Tampa?
Yeah. for
I
sure.
think so. I think so.
You think White is done?
I think eventually it's going to be the Tucker and Irving show.
Yeah. Bucky.
Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, what a compliment to their offense. That offense is already fired. You got those two guys. They look great.
Yeah, but he dropped Christian Watson. He's limited today, but Watson had a touchdown.
And Watson's a pretty solid
3 for 68 and a
receiver.
touch. I guess John really needed a running back, a split backfield running back. That's what he needed.
It's Jaden Reed's. It's his job as the number one wide receiver in Green Bay.
He's the clear.
Watson's either going to be the 2 and 3 in some weeks, but I think Watson's definitely to me, he's the 2.
Yeah. Gabe Davis for Trey Tucker. And $32 for Gabe fucking Davis because he had his blow up week that he has once a year. He had 2 touchdowns. There's Christian Kirk, Brian Thomas Jr., and Evan Ingram is back. And you're going to go spend up on Gabe Davis. Phil spent $32. The next bid was $0. Hey, if you got it, spend it. That's what I always say.
I think Phil had the most money before last night.
Ryan was the only person that bid on Dearness Johnson, 15 fake bucks. Picked him up and dropped the Cowboys D. Valet, is that how you say his name? Valet? Devon Valet? Valet. 11 fake bucks to John. And then Garendo got picked up by Carl. He dropped Eric All. 9 fake bucks. You bid 6. CEH got picked up for $5. No one else bid on him. Dortch got picked up for 3. Kicker got picked up. Elijah Moore got picked up. I picked up Keaton Mitchell. Then another kicker got picked up. Since Bub Means got picked up, he got dropped. Then he got picked up again, all by the same person.
Nikki picked up the drop that picked up again.
Yeah, all in like a 4-hour period. Nikki picked up Bub Means, dropped Elijah Moore. Then he picked up Aaron Rodgers, dropped Bub Memes, picked up Memes again, and dropped Aaron Rodgers. And then Carl picked up Aaron Rodgers for Justice Hill. Looks like Phil picked up Cade Otton and dropped Greg Dortch. And then Rich picked up Zamir White. And John dropped Justin Fields. Nikki says package Bucky and White for a wide receiver this week. He's not doing that. Bud stud. All right, so that's the transactions here. Now, I was saying before we go into week 7. Week 7's a crucial week, Dave, because week 7 after this week we will be officially halfway through the regular season.
Yeah.
How do you feel about your team sitting at 4-2?
Well, hey, if I could avoid any more injuries, man, I feel better. But a lot of injuries. I think 4-2 is a great record. Even without injuries, 4-2 in this league is a good feeling.
Yeah, it's a good start. You definitely want to be 5-2. That gets you 1 win closer to a playoff berth or even a division title. That would be nice. Problem is, my team's standing in your way this week, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get into that.
Let's roll.
Let's get into our week 7. We're going to share the screen. Bear with me. Here we go. All right. Boom. Week 7. This really is the game of the week. We're going to do it first. We're doing things a little different. John's not on the podcast this week. So you know what? We're going to flip things around. We're doing the game of the week first. You feel confident? You feel good that your game is the game of the week, Dave?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
The host of the shows.
You saw how much I stressed that Giants game Sunday night. You came over and watched the game with me and my dad.
Yeah.
More so because of the fantasy implications. But man, that was stressful. This week will be equally as stressful. Let's break it down. Right now, you're projected to win. We all know those projections don't mean shit. I'm rolling with I'm rolling with Darnold this week. Against Detroit, they're at home. They're coming off a bye.
At home, yeah, I could see that. That's a Sunday night game, right?
No, it's a 1:00 East Coast.
Oh,
yeah,
should be, man. Gosh,
it's a big game. That's a big game for me because I've got a couple Lions now on my team. Any chance I could get Jordan Addison from you?
Well, maybe, man. We can talk a little bit later on that.
That's why I came after Addison last week. I knew I was going to be starting Darnold this week. Jordan Love, I definitely give you the edge. Houston's defense, you can pass against them. I would give you the edge here in the Jordan Love matchup. You're hoping Jonathan Taylor can play because going up against Miami, that's a positive matchup. Same with Brian Robinson against Carolina. I think and then I have the other running back in the backfield, Eckler. So obviously I'm hoping Brian Robinson doesn't play, but he practiced today.
And Jonathan Taylor did not.
No, but Brian Robinson did.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but the way they use Eckler and Robinson is different. I mean, Robinson is certainly the goal line back. And also between the 20s, Eckler is kind of just filtered in there. Yeah. But they're playing against Carolina. That's a positive matchup for the Washington backfield. Montgomery faces Minnesota's defense. Minnesota's defense has been really good this year. So I'm kind of concerned about that. I would give you the edge in quarterback. I'll give you the edge if Taylor and Brian Robinson play as the lineup show right now. You definitely have the edge there. Wide receivers. I'm rolling out Sun God, Neighbors. Right now it's Wandale. We'll see. I'd like to get a Jordan Addison in there. But for now, you've got Addison, you've got A.J. Brown, you've got Jaden Reed. I don't know. How are you feeling about this wide receiver matchup?
Feel pretty good. A.J. Brown at the Giants. I mean, A.J., when he plays, he produces. Jalen Reed, as long as he's healthy, I'm pretty confident Jaden Reed can – it would at least his projection, and that's probably his floor. I mean, he's having a hell of a season. Because I feel pretty damn good about my receivers.
Okay, fair enough. I would too. I think Neighbors coming back against Philly. I feel good about that matchup, and I think Sun God's going to have a big week this week. So I think it's pretty close, our wide receivers. Tight ends, I got Ingram playing in the early game in London. You've got Laporta. Okay, tight ends. Right now, flexes, you've got James Conner and Ayuk in there. I've got Leggett and Lazard. I'd give you the edge in flex too, based on names and matchups.
I agree.
Kickers are kickers. And then defenses, I've got the Rams. I picked them up just to start them this week against Vegas. And you're starting Indy against Miami. Both are very good matchups. So I don't know. That's kind of a pick 'em. So overall, dude, like I feel confident in my team because I feel like I got a couple blow-ups coming. I got Neighbors blowing up. I've got Sun God blowing up. I don't know how I feel about Darnold in Detroit. I'm kind of hoping that's a shootout. But I'd give you a slight edge in this. Just looking at the matchups, you've got some great matchups this week.
Well, on paper, I think I have the advantage. But if I don't have Taylor in there, then I'm going to have to replace him with a player off my bench.
Gotcha.
Which
who
might bring you.
Spears isn't going to play.
Might have to put Pop Douglas in there.
Yeah, or Lockett.
Or Lockett.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really have much on my bench this week because Olave's out. Polk's a rookie. He's kind of just a long-term play. Keaton Mitchell's still in the PUP. Dowdle's on a bye. And then I have multiple quarterbacks. So, yeah.
Any news on CMC?
We're not going to talk about that. He's still a ways away. He's still a ways away. It would make my roster look a lot better. That's for damn sure. But yeah, I mean, good luck this week, man.
Good luck to you, Biz.
Going like we talked about, going 5-2 in this league in the first half of the season. That's huge. That's huge. Okay. All right, next Takeover against Rod Doggin. Right now, Takeover doesn't have a lineup really put together. Let's see who he's got for quarterbacks. He does not have a quarterback right now because he's got the Dallas Cowboys are on a bye. So no Dak Prescott, no CD Lamb. That hurts. He's got no Roschon, but he needs a quarterback. John, we may be able to work a deal. I can help you out with a quarterback. I've got 7 of them. Unless he wants to pick up Daniel Jones type. Anyways, whoever it is, Jalen Hurts has the edge playing against the Giants. Running backs here. John's got Jacobs and Dobbins. Ryan's got Henry and Walker. I think there's a clear advantage there, in my opinion. Although Dobbins is playing Arizona on Monday night. Henry's playing Tampa Bay. Walker plays Atlanta. Okay. So these matchups aren't terrible, but I'd still go Henry Walker. What do you think?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's no doubt. It's hard to go against King Henry right now, the way he's been going.
Wide receiver matchup. Right now we have DK against JSN, Christian Kirk, and Devonta Smith. Scroll down again here. He picked up Vele. He has Stevenson who could play. Shaheed's out. He also picked up Tucker. Man.
Yeah.
That's rough. That's rough. All right. So, tight ends. He even threw Hawkinson in there. Is there a chance Hawkinson's going to play this week?
I
thought he's still
I haven't heard anything on Hawk.
Officially limited Wednesday. He practiced in a limited fashion on Wednesday. Okay. We shall see. I mean, right now, let's just jump to it. It's looking rough for John this week.
I agree.
Got Dak and CD's 2 best players. Well, I don't want to say best players, but his Connect are out on bye. This is going to be tough. Ryan might get a win here. This is a big matchup here next. STD buckets against stacks on stacks. We talked about Carl's team. Carl's team's on the upward trajectory. Norm, you just never know what his roster is going to be because you assume he's going to do more trades. But as it stands right now, CJ Stroud playing at Green Bay, Joe Burrow playing at Cleveland. That's a tough one to pick. Because you don't think that Cleveland's going to put up points.
Wow.
Right?
I kind of like Burrow going against Cleveland.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Here's my thought process. Burrow may not have to throw that much. He might throw a ton in the first half, but they could be up three scores on Cleveland.
That's true.
Whereas Green Bay is going to put up points. That could be a back and forth. I give the edge fantasy-wise to Stroud just for that reason because I don't see Cleveland scoring. James Cook and Achane both are questionable.
Stroud's without Nico too,
Right,
and
right.
Mixon's been running pretty good. Well, the last game he looked great. Just
true.
I don't know.
Anyways, running backs, yeah, it's a tough one. But I just look at it, the opposition scoring points. Stroud's going to be forced to move the ball and keep up. Gibbs and Hubbard against James Cook and Achane. Achane goes up against Indy, which is a weak run defense. Cook goes up against a tough run defense in Tennessee. Gibbs, we already talked about the Detroit-Minnesota game. And Hubbard is at Washington. Should be able to move the ball against Washington. This one's closer than it looks. Chuba's been playing well.
I mean, Cook or Achane may not play. Or
Right.
both may not play.
Let's assume they do. Cook has 9 other good toes. He doesn't need the one bad one. Achan's coming back from a concussion, but had the whole bye week to recover. You'd assume he's healthy enough to play, playing in the dome at Indy. I would still give a slight edge here to
Gibbs
Cook.
side.
I would go opposite. I'd go Cook Achan. Only because the Gibbs at Minnesota is tough, man. It's a tough matchup. I'm going to say Cook and Achan are healthy. I'm going to give the slight edge to Cook and Achan.
I just think that if those, if Cook plays, if he plays, it's going to be limited on how many carries he gets.
We don't know that, but you might be right. Wide receivers, Norm's got everyone that's healthy in Houston and Deontay Johnson. Carl's just loaded with Chase, Higgins, and Godwin. And again, my concern is that the game script, if Cincinnati's up a ton, how much are they throwing in the second half? Godwin, huge game on Monday night. I think they'll be down, so I think they'll be throwing. I think there's an clear edge to Carl's side.
I agree. You can throw on the Baltimore defense.
Yeah, true. You can't run on them, but you can throw on them. Kittle and Goddard. Goddard's hurt. I mean, he had a hamstring. He's highly questionable to play. George Kittle right now is number 1 ranked tight end, Edge Kittle. J-Mo and Mostert against Sutton and Cooper Kupp coming back. What are your thoughts on this with the flex?
22 target game.
I mean, yeah.
Sutton is Sutton. He's a boomer bust receiver. If he catches a touchdown, he'll make 3 or 4 catches a game. But if he catches a touchdown, then he's worth playing. If not, then it could be 1 or 2 points. So.
Yeah, and then J-Mo is boom bust, but he's been more boom than bust this year. So, yeah, I don't know. I think
I like the Cup side.
Same. Then you got the Baltimore D at Tampa, and you got the Miami D at Indy. That's
Richardson's playing.
Yeah. Which means less passing yards. But,
maybe that's the Dolphins.
Okay. I would take Baltimore. I don't know. I just think Baltimore, well, they're at Tampa, though. Maybe you're right. I would take Miami. Overall, though, I give a slight edge to Carl, just overall. I mean, the projections say the same.
Yeah.
But I think, obviously, that Houston-Green Bay game, how Houston does C.J. Stroud to Tank Dell and Diggs is huge in this one. And then, obviously, the Cleveland.
I can see that.
They both have double stacks with their quarterback. But I would say Carl's going to win. Keep on winning.
I agree. I think Carl has an edge for sure.
Firm grasp of the obvious against make Bears great again. These last 2 matchups are must wins for all 4 teams. RJ's coming off the bye, the Kansas City bye, so he's got Pat Mahomes back in there. Brock Purdy is playing home against Kansas City. That's a big-time matchup. They got – wow, okay. So they've got each other's quarterback playing each other Sunday afternoon.
Okay.
That's a big one. I don't even know. I mean, do you say Brock Purdy and Pat Mahomes are a wash?
I think so. I think that's fair to say.
Okay. You got Jordan Mason and Tony Pollard.
Really screw things up for the Chiefs. The loss of Pacheco really made them want to throw the ball more than they want to without their top wideouts.
Yeah, for sure.
But Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes.
He's amazing. He threw for over 300 yards last game. Tyron Tracy against Philly, Kamara tomorrow night against Denver. You have Jordan Mason and Tony Pollard. I would say if Jordan Mason's healthy, this is closer than it looks. I love Tyron Tracy, though. He's looked good in both his starts. And who else do they have in New Orleans?
Yeah.
Kamara's he could touch the ball 20 times.
Kendre Miller.
Yeah, Kendre's going to play. They said he's going to suit up. I don't know. Slight edge to Jordan Mason and Pollard's side, but
It could be a push. I mean, I like the Tracy side slightly more.
Yeah.
Because I don't know the health of Jordan Mason. But,
yeah, that's true. All right, wide receivers. RJ's got Mike Evans, Calvin Ridley, and Amari Cooper. And Jeff has Drake London, Debo, and Darnell Mooney. I think they're going to throw the ball to Cooper a ton just to, play with their new toy. I think Mike Evans is definitely going to score at least one touchdown Monday night. Calvin Ridley, does he have even a decent game? If he does.
I'm surprised Calvin Ridley's starting. I mean, really, just.
Yeah. Well, let's see. What else does he have? I mean, he's got Romeo Dobbs. He's starting Njoku, a second tight end because he's got Kelsey. Who else does he have? Keenan Allen, DJ Moore are on bye. So that's the issue.
Right.
Well,
I like the London side then.
Fair. Yeah, me too. Kelsey and McBride. I mean, shit. McBride without Marvin Harrison Jr., that could be a push with Kelsey. Could be.
Give me the Kelsey side on that one.
Right on.
And there's an emphasis on getting Kelsey into the game a little bit more, involved a little bit more. Got their top receivers.
Sure.
Schuster. Here we go. The other.
Yeah, that's true. So Jeff's got Juju. It's going to take a little bit away from Patty. Aaron Jones. We don't know the health of Aaron Jones. I would certainly take the Juju Aaron Jones side if Aaron Jones is healthy. But who knows? Njoku, again, who are they going to throw to? I mean, Jerry Jeudy's and Elijah Moore. That's really all they have. Romeo Dobbs, he just seems to score touchdowns, man. So I think the flex is close to a push here. Defenses.
Aaron Jones isn't healthy. I think it's pretty close.
That's my thought. Exactly. It's like, how healthy is Aaron Jones? Atlanta D versus Seattle, and then you have Pittsburgh versus the Jets. I just think Pittsburgh's a better defense overall. I do think that Seattle-Atlanta game could be a little bit of a shootout.
I agree.
I think Pittsburgh Jets is going to be lower scoring, so I'll give a slight edge to the Steelers. Overall, I think we kind of leaned towards Jeff getting his third win. Things, again, that Kansas City game is huge. Obviously, for Jeff, the San Francisco game. I mean, the Kansas City-San Francisco game is huge for this matchup. You got Pat Mahomes, Brock Purdy, Jordan Mason plays. Then you've got Debo. You got Kelsey and Juju and Bucker.
Pretty big.
It's a huge game. That game will decide this week for sure. I mean, if the Chiefs go in there and they're slinging the ball all over the field to everyone not named Juju, RJ's got a real shot. Real shot. And then tomorrow night with Kamara. All right. Another one here. Turning a new leaf against In My Own Way. Nick is 1-5. Rich has lost 4 in a row. He is now 2-4. Let's break this down. Let's hustle up because I got to get moving here. Then we got a couple questions we're going to get to once we get done with these last two. So Kyler has not played well the last couple weeks. Playing on Monday night against the Chargers. They're at home. Jaden Daniels is against Carolina. I think This is an easy one. Easy one. Next, Kareem Hunt and Bucky Irving up against Joe Mixon and Saquon Barkley. Again, I think this is an easy one. Stop me if you disagree.
Okay.
Wide receivers for Nikki. You've got Brian Thomas, Tyreek Hill, and Bub Means against Jay Jetta, McLaurin, and Waddle. Stop me if you disagree.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. All right. Tight ends are okay, whatever. Flex. Yeah. Antonio Gibson and Najee up against Bateman and Jacoby Myers if Myers plays. This is where I think Nick may have a little bit of like a push.
Sort of a push.
Because if Myers plays, they're going up against the Rams. And again, other than Brock Bowers and Trey Tucker, you don't have a lot of people to throw the ball to.
Yeah.
Defenses, you got the Jets playing at Pittsburgh, and then you got Cincinnati. Ooh, playing at Cleveland. Congratulations, Rich. You can't fuck this one up. You're going to get back in the win circle. Nick, his season is falling apart like wheels off a wagon. White boy Rick is 4-2, going up against his brother. That could be the other game of the week, the brother battle in the Nichols household. White boy Rick is 4-2, going up against Phil at 3-3. Let's break this one down. They got two absolute studs at quarterback, Josh Allen playing home against Tennessee, and you have Lamar playing Monday night at Tampa. Whew, I'd say it's a push.
Okay.
Yeah. Just you can't pick one. Those two guys are studs. Running backs, you got Breece Hall at Pittsburgh, Chase Brown at Cleveland, going up against Bijan and Kyron. I give the edge to Bijan and Kyron.
I agree.
Kyron's playing Vegas. Bijan's playing Seattle. You can run on those teams. Wide receivers, Garrett Wilson, George Pickens, Xavier Worthy up against Devonta Adams, Zay Flowers, and Khalil Shakir. So Phil has Shakir. Ricky has Josh Allen.
Give me the Garrett side.
Okay, so I'll go against it. I'm going to go with Devontae because if he plays, it's a primetime game. They're going to force feed him the fucking ball. That's just, I don't know how I feel. Khalil Shakir, I think getting Amari Cooper helps him because he's more of the slot receiver. Opens
Garrett
things
Wilson,
up.
or Pittsburgh might have a new quarterback.
True.
Pickens the ball.
True. Yeah.
And going against San Francisco, Chiefs might have to get Worthy involved somehow.
Yeah, he's another boom bust guy. I mean, if he booms, yeah, I would give the edge to Ricky. And you're right. I mean, having Russ play quarterback, it definitely helps Pickens. Maybe you're right. Yeah, I change. I'm leaning more towards Ricky. Brock Bowers and Pitts. I think it's an edge Bowers.
It happens.
Yeah. Flex. You got Slayton and Quentin Johnston going up against Javonte Williams and Cade Otton. Oof. Just call it a push. Let's move on. Yeah. And then you got the Bills D against Tennessee and the Philadelphia D against the Giants. Now, if Neighbors plays, I give the clear edge to the Buffalo D. I would already lean towards Buffalo playing up against Tennessee, but I don't know. Do you disagree?
No, I don't agree. I mean, no, I don't. I agree with you.
Plus, Phil, I give the edge to Ricky.
Tennessee.
Phil's in my division. I'll be rooting for Ricky. I'll definitely be rooting for Nick, although it doesn't look good for Nick. And then I'll be rooting for RJ against Jeff. Those are the three division opponents that I have. So that wraps up the Week 7 preview. Let's knock out a couple questions here. We've got a few people that have chimed in. Noah 305, thanks for the comment. Would you trade Higgins, Smith, and Douglas for Deontay Johnson, Hubbard, and J-Mo? Now the Smith, I'm assuming it's Devonta Smith.
I think so. Know. Sounds like it.
I have CD on bye this week, and I have Puka coming back most likely soon. I would not do that deal. Deontay Johnson, Hubbard, and JMO for T. Higgins, Devonta Smith, and Douglas, I would sit pat.
I mean,
He says, I also have Taylor, and he might be out this week. That's why he needs the running back. Find a running back on the waiver wire, plug and play. Don't trade Higgins, Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith has been extremely consistent this year, scoring in double digits every game. Even the game he got knocked the fuck out in. What do you think? You like the Deontay Johnson, Hubbard, and JMO side?
I'm keeping Higgins' side for sure, and Devontae Smith's side for sure, no doubt. I mean, if anything happens to AJ Brown, Devontae Smith is give me a wide receiver 1.
Yeah,
no doubt.
And then we have Jess Winchester. Thanks for the comment. He says, should I trade Kittle for Brian Thomas? I have Bowers. Yes.
Sure.
You should.
Sure.
If you already have Brock Bowers, I mean, Kittle and Bowers are the clear 1 and 2 tight ends. Good drafting by you, by the way. In a down year for tight ends, you have the 2 tight ends everybody wants. Now, my question is, can you get more than Brian Thomas for George Kittle? I like Brian Thomas, but you might be able to get somebody better than Brian Thomas. If that guy's really in need and really wants George Kittle, let's say that guy that has Brian Thomas is the 49ers fan in your league, see what else you can get for Brian Thomas. Maybe even sprinkle in another guy like that might be valuable later on, like another running back or
flex receiver.
Yeah, something. See what else you can get. I think George Kittle's more valuable than Brian Thomas, just in a 1-for-1. Even if you have Bowers, you're trading from strength. You have the leverage. That would be my recommendation. And then Mondo9969, he says, would you guys rather have Kyler Murray or Jordan Love for the rest of the season? Dave, I'll let you answer that one. I think it's clear in my mind.
Jordan Love.
100% Jordan Love. 100% Jordan Love.
Just the way the offense is humming right now, I mean, really no defense has any answer for the firepower of the Packers right now, unless Love is hurt.
Yeah, well,
maybe if Jaden Reed were to get hurt.
No, dude, don't talk injuries. Let's not think
I'm just saying that. I mean, maybe
even if Jaden Reed got hurt, I would still rather have Jordan Love.
There you go.
Yeah, hands down. Kyler Murray he's been underwhelming. Marvin Harrison Jr., he has been okay. He has certainly not met the expectations of a round 1, early round 2 draft pick in fantasy. They have some issues. I'd rather have the quarterback, like you said, of the offense that is humming, the offense that has all these weapons, the offense that is clicking. Exactly. So, all right. With that being said, thank you everybody for joining us for another podcast of the Strictly Business Fantasy Football League. We will see you next week. Normally we record and go live on Wednesday, time to be determined, but normally it's a Wednesday show. We thank you guys. We'll see you guys next week. Dave, you're going down this week.
You going down. Thanks guys for listening. Good luck this week.